All right, Fernando, you are number 118. How do you feel now that you passed the PMP?
I feel good. I feel relieved, excited.
That's good, dude. I didn't know what was coming next.
Yeah,
Just kind of
it's
like
off my
letting the
back.
team out there. This is the second time you called me when you passed, but
Right.
everybody's got kind of like their own little journey. What's your like abbreviated journey to get here? Like, talk us through it, man.
I always never even knew about the PMP until maybe 2 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
it's been on my mind, and I've talked to people about it, and really all I got were like horror stories about it, and just that anticipation of, dude, it's a hard test. You got to memorize this book, and so I never took a swing at it. And then one morning, like I told you, well, actually, my boss hit me up and was like, "Hey, we're gonna need you to get this." So I was like, "Oh, okay." And I woke up the next morning and I go on these walks, and I got on the podcast and yours popped up. And once I heard your story and then I started putting two and two together, I was like, oh my gosh, he's from the same area. He's been in the shipyard industry, which is what my career is in so far. And I was like, man, let me, I started digging deeper, and that's when I got to your website and applied. And then I was kind of shocked, to be honest with you, that right away, bam, within like an hour, you yourself was calling me, and I was like, oh, wow, that's, it's a very personable thing to do, and interaction with people. So, and then from there, I was just floored. I was like, oh wait, I don't need the PMBOK. I've never opened a PMBOK to this day. And just the classes and going through the questions, I just thought it was really cool. I thought it was really cool how everyone gets a chance to speak. Everyone gets a chance to throw in their view at it. And it kind of, sometimes it puts you in your place when you're dead set on an answer and you got it wrong. And sometimes, it feels good when collectively you can come to an answer.
That's awesome, dude. And it didn't take you very long. Like, how many weeks or whatever did it take you to do this thing, man?
So I did spend a couple weeks just going to the classes, and I went through days 1 through 3 of the accelerator, and then my job blew up. We had a recompete coming.
Nice.
We had all this stuff going on, and I just had to, I knew it was there for later, so I put it to the side. But then I'm one of those people that started kind of like bugging me. It was just another pressure over here, just something else to do. So I just one day was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, do it. Yeah. I'm not going to mess around. So I started, my test was the 9th. And I started 7 days prior to that. Like, really watching the videos, paying attention, going to the class, doing the class material. I had some buildup of class material and interfacing with the teams and the other folks, but I didn't do days 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 until literally 4 days prior to the test. I had always gone 1 through 3 and then found a reason to stop.
No doubt. I mean, I think that's cool to see the story. And also, it makes me feel good in a sense that, like, you got into it and then life got in the way. It happens. Like, you got to go back to work. You got to nail it, do all those things.
Right.
And then, but it was still there for you. And that's like how I designed it, and was like, doesn't matter what bump is in the middle. Like, we're going to be there, and then we'll be there to hit it when you come back. And so I'm glad it worked. I'm glad it worked. Man.
And I would tell future students that be careful, because when you do go a couple of weeks, that I missed classes for maybe 2 or 3 weeks during the recompete period. Yeah. You got to go to those classes. You got to fine tune those skills. Yeah. Cause that was
rough. Right? You can get rusty, right? Or like, you just kind of like lose a little bit. Yeah. Sorry, that's cool. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, you'll hear the only reason you don't hear my kids is because they're outside. So we're good.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, that is awesome. So, like, now that you are successful and, all these things, you said, like, the important things, like, stick to the classes, do those things. Like, is there anything else, like, if you had to give pearls of wisdom to, like, the new people to say, here's what you need to focus on, or here's what you need to do, etc., what would be one or two of those kind of things for people?
I would tell, because I got caught in this situation, and I had to convince myself. Ian and
Mm-hmm.
your videos helped me get out of it.
Sweet.
Um, take take note of what the answers you're getting wrong. It's
Mm.
easy to claim success and lift the trophy when especially when like three other people get it wrong and you were the
Mm-hmm.
only one that picked C and
Yeah.
it was the right answer. It's easy to jump on those and go, hey, look at me. But it was really important to me because every class, the 2 weeks of class and the practice tests, I wasn't doing too hot. I
Mm-hmm.
was I was like, man, I keep getting these wrong. Am I ready for 3 days from now? But in reality, what it did was it was almost like just the perfect storm because it pulled together all those weaknesses, and I was able to pinpoint, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to make that mistake on the test.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would tell new students, like, really focus on the questions that you're getting wrong. It's important to understand why you got it wrong, how you looked at it, how you should have looked at it, that kind of deal.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's good because you're right. Like people want to hold that trophy up. They're so, I think they want to get them all right. Like that's a reasonable hope. Like get questions right. I mean,
Oh
I'm on
yeah.
board with that. But like in doing that, they're like trying to rush to that answer and that gold. But in reality, like it's okay to get them wrong as long as we react the right way. So I like
Right.
what you're talking about there. So cool. Nothing like pressure to like make the mind kind of like get aligned. Those last couple days, did you feel like you were ready? Did you know you were ready? Was there anything in your mind? Like, how'd it go?
So I really felt ready.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really felt ready. And then I took the 200
Yeah.
question practice exam and I landed a 75, and my readiness kind of dropped a little. I was like, oof.
Yeah.
Because, it said you had an average understanding of the material. So I was like, oh my goodness.
I gotta be careful with words I use. Yeah. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah.
But I took the day before off. That
Yeah.
was something that you mentioned in the beginning, and it's something I kept hearing a lot of students that passed that would come to their last like weekly meeting, and I heard a lot of them say, "Dude, that last day, I just kind of let it all. What was going to happen was going to happen.
Yep.
Staying up till 3 in the morning or whatever time, trying to cram some more in there was probably not beneficial to anyone. So I didn't do that. The last day I was like, hey, what I know is what I know, and I got to roll with it.
True. True. Simple as that, man. And so talk to me a little bit about kind of like it sounded like you got a lot from learning from others, whether it was like the other videos with like Ian and others, or
Mhm.
the coaching calls, having the other people come in. What role did the coaching calls, and we're talking about like those hard questions and the accountability coaches, what role did those play, and like how did they help you out?
I think they kept for me, they kept me honest.
Mm-hmm.
They kept me in that mode where, it's an investment in yourself. So it was important that when you make this type of investment in yourself, that you stick to it. And
Yeah.
I'm a procrastinator by like, you know, nature.
Profession or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
nature.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so what it did for me was that it was always like, okay, I have class Tuesday and Wednesday, and I need to know this material, or I'm going to be like that guy, that's
Mm-hmm.
like not knowing, even though I
Yeah.
had been there a couple weeks. But where it really helped was what you think after watching the videos and
Mm-hmm.
the assumptions you make on how things work. It was perfect, the coaching calls, because those were always the ones I got
Mm-hmm.
wrong.
That's good, dude. And so, like, I gotta write that down. And so, like,
I like a perfect example was change requests.
mm-hmm.
I for some reason I had an assumption in my head that you analyzed and did a lot of your analysis of a problem prior to the change request. But then I learned through the
Mm-hmm.
questions in Ian that no, when you do the change request is when you start that whole process.
Yeah, it's not just like write on a piece of
Yeah,
paper, hand it to the dude.
right,
It's like a process that goes into. It's like a disciplined process or whatever.
right.
Yeah.
And I would have gotten plenty of questions wrong if I would have kept that association different.
I think that's like a dead on, like, So if we think about a normal class, like you go to a class and there's like a person at the front and they're pushing stuff in your direction. And it's like a one-way thing. And you're like, I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. I think I got it. I feel, oh, yep. Yep. Feels good. And it creates this sense of like false sense of security. I think like the best
Right.
teacher in the world could be teaching you like, but until you get out there and you start like messing around with it, you don't
Right.
understand how well you understand it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I think what you're saying, and I think this is like one of the things I'm really happy that we stumbled upon and it works well is that like, yeah, everybody goes off and they learn and they get their foundations and they get the structures in their mind. And then we go, all right, everybody show up and like, let's play basketball. Like, let's see how well you're good at this. Like, let's
Yeah.
dribble. Let's do these things. And you're like, oh shit, it said bounce the ball like this. Like, it's
Yeah.
a little bit harder when you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
And you get to like massage your brain and you're like, oh, now I see it. Like, it cracks it and then you reform it in a better
Yep.
way, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Because you have that like a change request is supposed to happen, but
yeah.
hey, you have this a little backwards. And then I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And it changes. And that was literally like the Tuesday before I tested. I gained that, and I told Ian at that coaching session, I said, I mean, it was one of those questions where we started at, it was like a question that we went at 7:20.
Yeah.
And it was 8 o'clock by the time we finished that one question. I mean, everyone was coming in.
Yeah.
It was like an argument, every
Yeah.
side of the possible answer. And I told them all at the end, I said, man, this is going to be the question why I pass, because it changed my whole way of thinking. So yes.
I think that's big is like to people talk about volume of questions and I'm totally against it. Like I honestly want to take one student and be like, dude, we're only going to solve 100 questions and you're going to pass. Like we're not going to solve any more than 100. I want to take that gamble. I feel I'm like 100% positive that I can do it. And so, but if we go deep into these questions, I don't know, tell me if you believe this or not. Like it's relatively formulaic. It's pattern based in a sense, not that we like can memorize without thought, but it's like, it's how you react to problems. It's how you follow through flows and stuff. Like, does that make sense or not, or what?
No, it does. It does. It makes 100. That's where it was at. It was just, again, I think you said it perfectly. It was the cracking and then the reforming and the way it presented itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think like not to go on philosophizing more, but there's a certain part of it where, I mean, I miss occasional questions on the calls. Like it's not the most glamorous look where I'm like, oh shoot, I read it wrong and I, approached it wrong. But it's like an open environment in a sense. And that's what I would love get to people through is like, stop trying to be perfect. Start trying to really go deep and say, where do I understand it? Where do I not? And how can I reframe my brain so that like, if you get to that, then you can really start to like squeeze all the goodness out of these questions and stuff. Yeah.
Right. And then, one of the other things that I didn't notice until I was even taking the test was the steps, read the last question first, then go through the question. Well, there were, you get to these, I was at question like 80 and I'm like, I read it and I was like, wow, I didn't register any of that. Let me read it again. And instead of just trying to attack it again, I would go, okay, question first, then the material behind it. And then it was weird because every time I would lose that focus, I would always remind myself, okay, follow the steps. And I would follow those steps and then start eliminating questions and getting to that 50-50. And then, and I mean, I don't know if it was by chance or that it was the way my, the brain movement was happening, but those happened to be the questions that I was having issues on. The ones I would lose focus on is because I didn't know right away where I was heading. So it was cool I don't think that if there was no guideline in place of read this first, then that, then remember to go through all of them. You got to give every single one of them a chance.
Yeah.
And a reason why not. If I wouldn't have had that, I would have just kept trying to reread the same blurb and not, you know what I mean? The focus wasn't there. So it was like a tool to help me refocus as well.
Totally agree. And I think that's like I'm a pretty, I don't know, I'm very sticklerish in like how we, like we laugh, have fun, all that stuff. But like some people come in and try to strong arm me a little bit with like, no, I'm going to do it this way. I'm like, all right, sweet. The door's there. Like, you can go, or you can do it my way. And like the thing that you just hit on is the reason why we're sticklers to the process is because of exactly what you said. Like it gives you a structure that keeps you from going this way or that way and getting lost. And you'll be like, shoot, I just spent 9 minutes on a question that's only worth 1. And it's like, don't do that. Like, it's a waste of time.
And right away when that's happening to you, because you start reading and then you're like, I didn't read anything.
Yeah, it's like driving to work and you're like, I don't know how I got here. Like, what? That's scary. But yeah, like so many times you read them. So as you're going through, I love how the fact that like, I think one of the things that like people probably will learn from you is, amongst other things, is like, it's not a straight line. Like everything's rosy the whole time. Like you said, work got in the way, even on the exam, like you caught yourself like swaying and you had to pull yourself back.
Right.
And like, were you confident? I mean, you finished really fast, by the way. Like you finished like stupid fast. Like,
well, and I'm not gonna lie, man. It was like 99 minutes left, and I had one question to go, and I was like, "There's no way I passed," because all the horror stories were, I finished with 2 minutes left.
Me too. Yeah.
And I just clicked submit at 98 minutes, and it was like, congratulations. But as far as confidence goes, I felt at some point, you have to calm yourself down. And I would tell this to the future students is, not in a lazy way, but you know what you know.
Yeah.
And if you try to use the process the best as possible and the knowledge that you have, you're at least going to get to that 50-50. I promise you, 200, except for some agile ones where I just chose the most non-normal thing that I thought. Like some of these agile questions, I was like, what is that?
Yeah. Those might be the ones they're testing out or whatever. We're integrating more agile stuff in, but yeah.
But the ones I knew, I promise the students, you'll get to the 50-50 mark. You'll easily get to that 50-50 mark and go, which increases your chances.
Oh, totally, dude. It's like a numbers game at that point. And really, I think like rely on your own mind. Like you keep saying like, it is what it is, or you know what it is. Like that's a big thing. Like it's not like you said to be lazy about it or just say, oh, well, I'm just going to do my best. And you had a good foundation, you had a good principles. And then you're like, I'm going to do this. Like I'm going to go through, and really, if you fail, not the most fun day in the world, but we're still walking around. We're still happy,
And a lot of them, to be honest, PMI they're a stickler too. They got their questions a certain way, and it's all to really test that knowledge. And I really think that if you know the process groups, the knowledge areas, the 49 processes, the key flows was masterful. If you know that, that's where you can really get to that 50-50 point and start. You can really break off some nonsensical answers and get to the final 2. And then when you get to the final 2, it's almost like sometimes you're looking for just the wording of it.
Yeah. It's like a little thing, right? Like it's like
Like I learned from you, it was actually 3 weeks ago. It was the right answer, but then they said, and the answer said, let's just say it said update business documents. And then it was like, and call the project sponsor. Well, I got to 50-50 and I was like, it's not that one. That's so weird. Why would they put and do this? And I thought of you talking, going, I hate that. I hate that they put and.
Yeah.
It's like that and this was nothing. So I chose the other one. And I don't know if I got that exact question right because I didn't review them all, but I'm pretty sure that one was that situational.
Yeah. And it's like, this may not hit with anybody. Have you ever seen that movie Heat?
Yeah.
Like with De Niro and Pacino?
Yeah.
And like, okay, so if you haven't seen the movie Heat, watch the movie Heat. Like if you've never wanted to rob a bank, you'll want to rob a bank after that movie. Don't rob a bank. But when like De Niro and Pacino are like sitting at the table, they're like, well, basically like, I think like De Niro's basically, he's a bad guy. He says that like, he gets a feeling like, and he's just like, you get a feeling and you have to walk away from like the situation, or
Yeah.
you're going to get arrested. And he's like, you got to be a certain position where if you get like a feeling in the back of your head, you're just walking away. I'm out.
Right.
He's a lot better, and it's about not getting arrested for robbing banks. But same kind of thing. Like you get a feeling in your head, you're like, those last little words are like, that's bad. Like I'm out. I'm going to the other one. Like,
oh yeah, and that's what I did with those specifically. I was like, that and call the project sponsor is not right.
Yeah, yeah. It's like So
You just want to say like, hey, buddy, you can do that.
Yeah, and really, I'll let you go, man. I'll let you go.
No, you're good.
Yeah, and I think you like rely on like logic and like what the PMI sticklers say and like what your experience says, and like does that even just feel right? Otherwise, you're just trying to. Well, is it in that process that I call this like who gives like that's not the way to think about it. Like
oh yeah,
you just got to bring your own thing. All right, cool. So there's people out there that are most likely like you. Like somebody out there is like, dude, Fernando is me. Like, and whatever. So for those people that are out there and want to pass the exam, like what's your advice for those people who might be either on the fence or looking for direction or looking for support? Like what would you say to those people?
Join up. The 7-day accelerator program it's where it's at. It's a great investment in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You'll go through the material rapidly, and then if you have time, it just gets better and better.
Yeah.
I think the 7 days is a good mark.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have time to give it, to maybe go through it twice, it can't get any better than that, because when you go through the material, when you do the flashcards, it's like you said the entire time, it was waves of information just layering on top of each other, and then it makes more sense every time. So the videos, the flashcards, the deep dive videos, the weekly questions, the exams, and then I think that was and then the videos of other people answering questions and like hitting pause and saying, okay, this is what I think it is.
Yeah.
That was good too, because it's like the weekly questions, but it's on your own time just for you, and you can kind of do your own arguing with yourself about it.
Yeah. I mean, that was like when I built it, I'll let you go after this, but like when I built the whole program, I was like there's got to be a bunch of different brains out there. And I'd done all these calls with like, Rachel and Maya and Melissa and all these people that like did the accelerator first when I was doing it live. And I was like, damn, like those sessions were like super deep. I was like, I don't want to just have those in like a vault, like Walt Disney or whatever. I want to like bring them out and be like, yo, Fernando, watch this. Like, Melissa and Rachel and I just fought for an hour, or she fought through questions, and I just let her fight and like ask her ridiculous questions like, why do you think that? Like, tell me why you think like it.
And then it turned out like, that's an hour-long video. So when you're clicking pause and you're doing your own thing, and then you're thinking or writing some notes, it goes from an hour to longer, and you're like, wow. But it was really good because, like I said, so the classes are great because it's constant situational and hearing other people's ideas. But when you got what you did was you replicated the classes, but for someone to do with their own time.
Yeah.
And it was really good.
Yeah. I like that aspect. I mean, like, dude, these are like the most fun things in my life to like do these like interviews with you guys. Like, they're like awesome, but I'm kind of like sad. I'm like, shit, like, now, like I don't get to talk to you anymore. So we're going to do more stuff like, the ACP, I got Lean Six Sigma, like all these other stuff coming. So yeah, we're going to use the same stuff. So this won't be the last time we talk. And then I'm open to ideas if you're like, if you want to coach, if you want to like support.
That'd be great. What about I've heard there's a PGMP.
Dude, I could teach you anything, bro. Like, like let's do it.
I had that guy, one of my mentors. He's that guy, and he was like, "Oh, that's great news. I just got my PGMP."
Oh, look at that! Yeah, like, dude, okay, whatever. But yeah, it's like up. I mean, that's the good thing about PMI is like it's broad, and like they're like nailed. They got analyst stuff. They got PGMP. They got all this jazz. The ACP. They got it covered. So we're gonna go down the road. I obviously got to reinvent stuff for the new thingy, but yeah, no big deal. What's a couple books to write? No big deal.
What's a couple books?
Yeah, now that I've written a couple, it's like I can write them fast now, probably.
Oh,
Yeah. All right, Fernando. I really, really appreciate it, dude. You did amazing. You
thank
probably
you.
finished fastest of anybody out there, and you still did really well. So that's pretty good.
Hey man, I got to tell you one last time. I appreciate the support of the team members, Ian, yourself. It was knockout. And I'm not a hard person to teach because I pick up things quickly, but I'm a hard person to keep consistent. Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm a procrastinator type of guy.
You got a lot going on. You got a lot going
Yeah,
on.
I got a lot going on, and I'll push things off, and I wanted to keep going with this program. So,
Dude, you
it's
did
great.
amazing. That's about it. I mean, not that long, and you nailed it. So simple as that, bro. So good job. Good job. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
I'll see you later. See ya.
Thank you. Take care.
Hold on for a minute. I gotta stop recording.